Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
What is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your man, Jelani JB Bodie, host of this thing called the Wait a Minute Show. It's a sports show, if you haven't figured it out yet. I am in the building once again to give you a sports fix like I always do on a Tuesday. It's going up, as a song had said once before. And I'm excited. Let me just say that. I got a lot of energy in my blood today. And I can't wait to, let it go. I can't wait to let it, get out there for you. But before I do all of that, I am joined here by none other than my man that be running it behind the board, the producer. Big Mo is in the building. He got a lot of energy to get out as well. Oh, look at him. Look at him. You see what he got on? You see the hat? Yeah. You see the hat.
It's a good day today, JB. It's a good day today. How you doing? You up?
Good day. I'm up. I'm up. I'm ready. Yeah. It's a good day.
Beautiful day in the Carolinas.
Yes, we got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff we're gonna get off our chest today. So good that you in here, Mo. And we probably will. We will be touching base on those Gamecocks a little bit later on in the show. So, but before we do that, let me holler at y'all real quick, give you an update. The Wait a Minute Show toy drive. You heard me talk about this. I always talk about it. I want to say like, subscribe, turn on those notifications as well. Follow your boy on the show. But I want to give everybody an update as of right now. What is this? December 2nd. Yeah, December 2nd. The Wait a Minute Show toy drive is sitting at a little bit over $1,000 that we have raised. And for those who do not know, go to the waitaminuteshow.com and you'll see the promo here in just a second, but we help out the kids and everything. So this is what it's about. So Mo, take us to the promo. Let them know what the toy drive is all about, son. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, it is that time, the holiday season. So it is time for year 12 of the Wait a Minute Show toy drive, and I need your help this holiday season. So going on from November 1st to December 14th, the Wait a Minute Show toy drive is where we sponsor kids from Helping Hands of Paulding County, a nonprofit organization, and kids 1 through 18. We sponsor those kids and get them what they want for the holiday season. And how we do that, I do it with your help. So I need your help once again. I go out there through your donations and I get what it is that they want. So it's real simple and real easy to do. All you have to do is go to thewaitaminuteshow.com. Again, that's thewaitaminuteshow.com and choose your option of PayPal, Cash App, or GoFundMe. And it does not matter. $1, $2, $5, it all adds up. We were able to help 22 kids last year. We're trying to help more this year. And we only can do that with your help. So again, go to thewaitaminuteshow.com and choose your option, PayPal, Cash App, or GoFundMe, and make it a memorable 12th year holiday season for a kid out there. I need your help, everyone. So there you have it. Once again, over $1,000 right now. We're trying to get bigger. So still got time to December 14th to do that. Now let's move on and get into some football talk. Week 13 of the NFL pretty much is done. Well, by the time you see this, it'll be done because the Monday night game will already have went through. But we're going to talk about what has transpired and some things that sit out there in the NFL for week 13. So you see on there, you see Geno Smith, you see Russell Wilson. Obviously, Russell Wilson is making Mike Tomlin look like a genius, especially after the game that they just had against the Cincinnati Bengals, where they put up 40-plus points. Russell Wilson threw for over 400 yards, and it was just madness, right? So he's looking like a mastermind out there. Craziness going on in the NFC West. Look, Arizona let me down. I really thought they had Minnesota dead to rights. And of course they end up losing that game by I think 1 or 2 points, on there. So right now the Seattle Seahawks are back in first place. Still a lot of football to be played in that division because everybody is close in proximity to each other. We had one of the biggest, games that we were looking at that we're going to talk about now, which is the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Baltimore Ravens, which Philly went into Baltimore, got the W, basically, made, again, the Ravens look like a team that we weren't expecting. Justin Tucker continues to still have his issues. There are situations where I think Derrick Henry could have been used more. Lamar Jackson was talking about this, got cussed out by his mama, because he didn't run when he had the opportunity. So he said he's gonna change all of that. You don't want your mama cussing you out. Don't want no problems with mama. So you can expect after the bye week that's going to be different. But I want to talk about this game because previously, last week's show, if you didn't see it, go ahead, go back and watch it. I was talking about the biggest threat to the Lions as far as like in the NFC, because everybody has the Lions at the top, right now. And I talked about the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is one of the reasons why is that, they were able to. Now, Lamar said, there's some things that they, left on the field that they shouldn't have, but he also gave credit to what, the Philadelphia Eagles were. And they play really good defense. They play sound defense. And this is a game here. You're not playing against a lower tier team. So I don't want people to look at the score, as much and say, well, the Ravens, they didn't score, as many points as they normally would. Right. Because they normally play a team that's to a lower degree or a lower tier. They're playing someone that is on the same tier, if not higher, than them. So I expect these type of games, these tight games, these, close games. So with this, we see with the Baltimore Ravens is that, they still have their trouble with top tier teams. You've seen it with Kansas City. Then they had a slip up. Who was that they lost to the Raiders? You can't have a slip up like that. But then you have these back and forth, matchups that you have with these top tier teams. And these are the ones that you want to win. This is what that puts you over the top. This is what's going to get you to that Super Bowl or to that championship. So props to, the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley had over another 100-yard plus performance. So they weren't able to, slow him down. And going forward, I think with the Ravens, I'm going to proceed with a little caution. I do believe that the Ravens are one of the most talented teams in the AFC. It's just when you are playing. Now they beat, if I remember correctly, they did beat Buffalo. But when you're going against those top tier teams, you got to be able to close them out, and they know that. So this is not the last, right? I don't want it to be. But I have to pay respect where respect is due, is that this could be a Super Bowl matchup, going into the future. But I do think my Lions, will be there instead. So moving on from there, let's talk about Bryce Young. I want to talk about Bryce Young really quick because I want to give props where props is due, because Bryce Young, he was destroyed. He was, really with the benching and everything. Everybody was talking about this kid. The word bust, was starting to be associated with his name. And look, Carolina still has not, performed where, up to expectations or perform to what is acceptable. Let me just say that. But I want to give credit where credit is due, is that Bryce Young is playing better. He is playing better than what he played beginning of the season to where he is now. Then you got to look at this last two games, right? Lost two really tight games. He threw for over 200 yards, actually almost threw for 300 yards in both of those games against Kansas City and against Tampa. Just this past week, had two total touchdowns, against Tampa. Excuse me. And this is just, I think this is the progression. I think this is Bryce Young getting better, right? Getting where you need him to be. You took the Super Bowl champs to the brink, and you took a playoff team to overtime. So they're in the mix where before these games would have been over probably by halftime. So I want to give props to Bryce Young, on that. Now, last thing I want to talk about, and this is tough. I wasn't going to talk about this, but this came out right before we came on, and Mo's going to be upset. But recent news just came out. Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason have been put on IR. Obviously, the bigger one that everybody's going to be paying attention to is the Christian McCaffrey, injury in that game against the Buffalo Bills. You saw it. It was a non-contact injury, so it wasn't good. He immediately went down. So I immediately started thinking, and me and Mo talked about this, is that, bringing him back as far as it seems like San Francisco just dumped the workload on him right away instead of just having maybe an even mixture or still having, Mason as the primary lead and easing Christian McCaffrey, into that mix because Christian McCaffrey has had issues with injuries. We already know that. We've seen that, right? So it's unfortunate, but at this point, San Francisco 49, I mean, they were already in danger. They're really in danger right now. Down to two running backs. Gerardo, if hopefully I'm saying his name is right, he'll be the starting back. He's shown some glimpses of some good stuff that he put out on tape in his time where he did get to play very fast, 4.3, 4.3 guy. I don't want to put San Francisco out of the conversation, but it just may be too much, for them to overcome. Because you still have Fred Warner hurt. Trent Williams was out of that game. You don't know how, what that's going to be like. And this just may not be their year. I mean, sometimes you just have that. You have games that they lost, but seeing Christian McCaffrey go down like that was kind of like, all right, that's the sign. I don't want it to be, but that may be, the sign. So I know Mo got something to say. See what I tell you, right in like Spider-Man. This is your team, so I know you feel a certain type of way, about it.
I'm a realist, man.
Okay.
I'm a realist. I think it's time let's go ahead and just dead the conversation about the 49ers being a contender. I think that ship has sailed. I think it sailed weeks ago. When we lost to Seattle, it was already time to panic, right? And it was, okay, we gotta not necessarily win out, but we gotta go down the stretch with one, maybe two losses. And we lost 2 games since then. And I've been hard on Kyle Shanahan. We got a lot of injuries, and I'm gonna stay hard on him because, like you said, we talked about it before, and we knew ease Christian McCaffrey back in. And last night, I mean, it's funny because I'm like, okay, he finally doing what I wanted to see him do, and that's share the load. But it's a little too, it's too little, too late because now that wear and tear in those conditions, you got Christian McCaffrey hurt. And now you got Mason, who probably rusty. This is the week you want to bring him back in these conditions against this team with the pieces that we're missing on that front line. I mean, listen, just expect to see a new 49ers team moving forward for the next few years. And I expect to see, a heavy dose of Debo, kind of using them a little different now. But, I mean, at this point, man, the math ain't adding up. I mean, you got you got the game yesterday with Arizona, and okay, all right, come on, do what you got to do against Seattle, and that didn't work out. So yeah, it's rough, man.
So they got,
as a fan, it's rough.
The rest of their games, they got the Bears, the Rams, Dolphins, Lions, and then the Cardinals. Obviously, they need. Obviously, you would say they need to win all of those games.
I don't think they will.
Definitely, Rams and Cardinals, because you want to win those division games because that's going to help out your cause. But I could see them still beating the Bears, although it looks like the Bears might be playing a little bit better. But it's tough. It's a tough uphill battle.
It's going to be one of the biggest wins for the Bears. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Might be.
I'm curious to see what Kyle Shanahan, how he coaches the rest of this season. I'm curious to see what he come up with because you're missing everything. Everything. So what are you going to do? I'm just curious to see how he game plan for the remainder of the season.
Interesting.
But, put them in that box with the Cowboys, man. We ain't talking about them no more.
Yeah, we haven't. But who we will talk about, and Mo just mentioned it, a big miss by one Ohio State, right? I got a smile on my face because Ohio State, rivalry week, played Michigan, and things just didn't go according to plan, right? So Michigan wins 13-10 to against Ohio State. And here are some highlights, if you want to check them out as I talk about Michigan beating Ohio State. So the interesting part about this is a few things. 13-10. So you mean to tell me in the shoehorn or whatever they call it that you only could muster up 10 points against Michigan, where other teams that is to a lesser degree have scored more points on Michigan, and you went up against a Michigan team where their quarterback threw for 62 yards. You knew they were going to run the ball. You knew they were going to run the ball, try and slow it up, play defense, and they still couldn't win the game. Still couldn't pull it off. This is big trouble. Big trouble for Ohio State. Right? Actually, this is big trouble for Ryan Day. Let me say that. This is big trouble for Ryan Day. So obviously I'm happy, about Michigan, getting the win and everything. But let's talk about Ohio State. That's really the big story here, is that I'm going to say this right now. Ryan Day was already, on the hot seat for not beating Michigan, for not, getting to the championship game, or not getting in the playoffs as well. And now this is the fourth loss. I think that heat that we've been talking about gets triple times higher because of what I was just talking about. You have a team where everyone knew what Michigan was going to do. They were going to run the ball because the passing game hadn't been there all season. This isn't they just lost a quarterback or anything like that. It hasn't been there all season. And you still couldn't win. So for me, this is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say he gets fired, but he's really on walking a thin line. And I think to get off of that line with the Ohio State fan base, they got to win the championship. They have to win a championship, and they're not even playing in the Big Ten championship. So they got to figure out a way to win a championship this year. If not, this could affect recruiting. This could affect staffing. This could affect the players, right? Other former players have had things to say about Ryan Day in social media. I'm not going to say that it's not beyond me to think that some of the guys in the locker room might be saying some things about Ryan Day. So to me, again, I never advocate for anybody to lose their job because everybody got bills and they got families and all that stuff. But they got to win the championship. I think that can make everybody forget the Michigan thing, except us. But that's going to help, Ryan Day kind of dispel some of that stuff. But you still got to beat Michigan. And real quick, because I kind of it's not exactly the same, but I kind of, reference it to Harbaugh, right? He was on that hot seat for a while. And then they went on that run or whatever, and beating Ohio State helped out Harbaugh, and then they finally got it and won that championship. So that's what everybody was waiting on. So I think it's the same it's the same thing for Ryan Day. You got to win the championship. You got to be this year. That's my point. But Mo, you saw at the beginning, he had on his South Carolina hat, so he's real excited about that. So Mo Gamecocks took down the arch rival Clemson. So I'm going to give Mo a few seconds or, maybe a minute to talk about his Gamecocks here, on the show. So look at it.
Hey,
so South Carolina,
shout out to my boy Nino and the rest of the Clemson Tiger fans, man.
Hey, South Carolina wins. What was it? 17-14. Obviously, again in a close rivalry game. And
ain't even got nothing to say.
Although Clemson is still playing in the ACC championship game, thanks to Syracuse, it's not about that. It's not about that. This is about the in-state rivalry, and it's
That's
just right. And could there be a case for South Carolina in the playoffs?
Nah, we ain't gonna be able to get. We ain't gonna be able to do that. It's come on, you know how the rankings go. It's too much going on to do that. It's too much going on. Arizona State, you got too much going on, but it's all right. Listen, let me tell you something. This rivalry right here,
Yes.
It's the equivalent here in the Carolinas. It's the equivalent of Ohio State, Michigan. The way you feeling right now, that's how we feel, man.
Yeah.
That's how we feel, man.
Feeling good.
That's how we feel, man. I mean, it's one of those feel good situations, man. And I feel like hopefully we can get to the point to where we start seeing some good recruiting. We start, getting back to where things used to be in the Carolinas, man. I mean, listen, I'm trying not to cuss, man, but I feel good. Even
It feels good, right?
even with all the drama with my 49ers, this right here was a much needed win for us, man.
It's a much needed win.
It's a much needed win, man. I got into some heated debates and discussions over this game. So
congratulations.
That's how it goes, man.
Congratulations,
how it goes, man.
South Carolina Gamecocks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm gonna touch on your game real quick with Michigan, Ohio State. I know we're going backwards, but you kind of stole one of my points. I'm like, your boy Ryan Day. Yeah. I mean, I don't care where you rank. I don't care what you do. I don't care how successful that season is. In the Big Ten, y'all different over there, man, as far as, just loyalty to the fan base's loyalty and the organization's loyalty to these coaches. That's a game you got to win. That's a game you got to win, man. So, congratulations to you. But I think we're going to be getting some news, kind of how we got news about a NFL coach that we're going to talk about later.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe. Let's stay into college football and let's talk about some rankings, right? So last week I gave you my top 12 rankings for the CFP or CFB or college football playoff CFP. I'm going to get that out. And I was pretty close. I think I was one off, on my rankings. So I'm not going to talk about rankings. Really what I'm going to talk about today is going to be how far will they fall? Because we talked about Ohio State losing, but also another team that lost, that they took an L that really hurt was the Miami Hurricanes. So both of these teams are now 10-2. So how far are they going to fall? So I got here, you know me, I like to keep some notes here, that I reference, on it. So I'm going to go through real quick where I think they fall. So at this point, until, later on, Tuesday, you'll see this. So until later on Tuesday, when it actually comes out, the rankings, Ohio State currently sits at number 2, right? So I'm going to say Ohio State is bad. It's bad. It's bad that you lost to how you lost, but I think it also helps who you lost to in this situation is that although Michigan is not the Michigan of last year, it still is a big rivalry game like we were just talking about. We saw Georgia and Georgia Tech. That went 8 overtimes. Like rivalry games are just different, right? South Carolina and Clemson. Rivalry games are just different, especially big-time rivalry games. So I think that actually kind of helps Ohio State. So I think they fall to number 6 on my list. I got them at 6, right? So with Miami, them losing to Syracuse, obviously, this is a little bit different, scenario. Some people have kind of criticized, Miami and who they play, and then they kind of got themselves in trouble where they had to, come back. But they're still sitting at 10-2. They're not playing in the ACC championship game, just like Ohio State is not playing in the championship game. So I do think that they're going to take a little bit more of a fall than what Ohio State will. So, Mo, I got Miami being 10-2 at the 12th spot. I think they're on the cusp. And let me just tell you who I got, obviously, in front of Ohio State. I don't think you'll have any problem with this. Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, all of those are one-loss teams. And I think because Georgia won, they're going to, they're a 2-loss team. They're going to jump ahead, especially because they're playing in the ACC championship game. SEC championship game, excuse me. So then I got Ohio State at 6. Then it's followed by Tennessee, SMU. SMU only got 1 loss. They're playing in the ACC championship game. Indiana is at 9 because they put a beat down on Purdue, 66-0. So I think that helped out their case. Boise State at 10. And then here's where I'm arguing. I think Clemson probably still, even though your team beat them, they probably still get in there. Maybe, possibly, perhaps. And then Miami at 12. But that I what I'm going to say though, that 11 to 12, I'm not totally confident on it. I mean, Miami could be at 11. Miami could be at 10, as well. But that 11 to 12, I don't know. There may be an argument, that someone puts in for Alabama. There may be an argument that someone put in for South Carolina. Obviously the championship games, the conference championship games is really going to help, decide that. So whatever comes out this week, ladies and gentlemen, don't go totally crazy because there's still some other games that can be played. But I think Miami falls that far where they're sitting on that cusp of maybe, not making it, having 2 losses. I
wanted to argue with you, but I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Clemson, you look at Ohio State, these were conference games. Even though Michigan, is what they are this year, they can't pass the ball, it's still Michigan. And it's still going to be a different kind of game. Same with Clemson. So that's what I was saying earlier about Carolina. I'm like, I think Clemson is still if they beat SMU, they got to beat SMU. That's not a given. That's not a gimme game either. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to come in that game like they just lost to Carolina with a chip on their shoulder.
Absolutely.
And play ball. But Miami, that's about right.
I want to say that
right. That's about right.
I want to say that they get it. But again, I could see them at 11. I still could see them at 10. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they're at 12. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're at 13. I mean, because they're not getting a bowl. They're not getting the conference championship game now. So
true.
That's
gonna.
I think that's gonna carry some weight. But the way it's been going this year, crazier things. We'll see.
And you know what? Here's the crazy part about it. I said this before the season started, and I said it last year when they announced it that they were going to 12 teams. I would say, hey, this is great, and I still think it's great. It's going to add more parity, but we're not going to even be sweating who's at 13 and 12. And I was completely wrong on that because we are sweating. But I think this is still good for the sport of college football. There are some people that's not going to like it because they like how things used to be. And it's just like, but I just think this is great because, again, right now, if we went with the old format, we're talking about Oregon, Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame. Right. And then we're making that argument about Georgia as far as like my rankings, because I got Georgia at 5. We're talking about Ohio State. So just right there. But you got so many other teams that we're talking about that's in this mix that could make some noise and could make some changes. So I still think this is good for the game of college football because we're talking about it, but we're talking about it with more teams because even up until last week, we were talking about the possibility of Colorado, getting into. Can you imagine if Colorado would have beat Kansas and then how they put the beat down on Oklahoma State and everything that would have been like that is to me, that's the purpose of the 12-team, playoff.
I love it.
That so we can have these conversations that we're having now.
I love it. I mean, are we seeing teams play better now because of this format, or are we really seeing did this format bring the truth out in college football? Because
I think it brought the truth out. And I think also these kids, because what it was, Mo, this, it was like once when you lose one game, it was almost a wrap for you. You got to go undefeated. So with this, these kids are like, yo, we are still in it. We had some injuries or we had bad luck or something didn't go our way earlier in the season. Now we're healthy. We're playing better ball. We've acclimated more. Our play has improved and everything, and we still got a shot. And that effort, I think, is out there. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
It's crazy. I love it. Every week matters, man. Every single week matters. Coming down to the championship games, they all matter.
Yeah,
so.
and it'll be controversial, and we'll be arguing about something at the 12th, 13th spot, too. So
I'm here for it.
What I'm not happy about is our next topic, which is this whole thing with flag planting, right? So there were a bunch of numerous altercations, fights, whatever you want, scuffles that people want to, call it, because of this flag planting thing. For teams that's winning, they plant their flag. For people who don't know, obviously the biggest one that got the attention is Ohio State and Michigan, because people got pepper sprayed in that little fracas, if you will. So planting the flag, in the middle of the field, obviously on, it's going to be a road win, because you're not going to, if the home team had a win, it's not a big deal. So I myself think they need to get rid of this. I felt that they needed to get rid of this a while back. From the first time I saw it, because it wasn't, I think someone put something out there with Baker Mayfield and a comment he said about flag planting. That started way before, Baker Mayfield. All right. So seeing it, my whole thing about the flag planting is that what it can generate, right? Yeah, if someone plants a flag, I'm gonna be mad and everything, but I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna fight. But that's me. That's me. You got on some of these rosters, you got 99 other dudes, and some of them ain't gonna have the same mindset as me. They're like, nah, that's not gonna fly. That you're not gonna disrespect. So you got the players. I'll go a step further. You got the fans. You got family members. It's just, for me, there's too much that can go wrong from it, and it's not a need. Is it the game, as far as like what happens after the game, what happens that next week in the next matchup, that flag planting has no impact or any bearing on that. That doesn't get you extra points. They don't get you anything. All it gets you is an opportunity for what we saw this past weekend with a bunch of teams where guys are upset or whatever. Because I'm sure there are some guys that it's their senior year, right? I just talked about, this is the fourth win for Michigan. Ohio State, there's guys that they're never going to have the opportunity to beat Michigan, right? And then they see that. Who am I to say? They be like, you know what? I'm going to get me somebody. I'm not coming back. So it's you don't gain anything from it, right? And all it does is what you see is what you get. So I'm not on board with the flag planting. So that's just me, But let's move on to our last topic, and that is we're talking about coaching and everything. So the Chicago Bears, I mentioned Chicago Bears are going to be playing the San Francisco 49ers next week. They will not have their head coach, Matt Eberflus, because he got fired, right? So they're moving on from him, and there's going to be a new coach. Somebody's going to be a new coach in Chicago come next season. So I'm going to go ahead and start early right now and start talking about who should be the next coach for the Chicago Bears. Now, there are some candidates I would say will be prime candidates. So I got two that I think is no-brainers as far as like getting an interview. They're going to get the interview. But I got one, and Mo, I'm going to see what you think, about this. So the first person, I think, obviously, is Ben Johnson from my Detroit Lions, right? He turned down a coaching opportunity this past year to come back. If the Lions win the Super Bowl, then I definitely think, he's out. I wouldn't be surprised if he out if they didn't, because you can't expect him to, keep passing up, opportunities here. I think the offensive mindset, of Ben Johnson, we've seen what he's been able to do, with the Detroit Lions and some of the stuff that he has created and the creativity. So I think Bears fans would love that. And I'm sure the organization would love that. And they would love to have someone of his mindset working with Caleb Williams, right? Another person who was a former coach and definitely can get another opportunity, because he's the OC for a coach that got another opportunity, and Dan Quinn. So Cliff Kingsbury has been mentioned as well. We've seen, what he was able to do with other quarterbacks. Obviously, again, that relationship with the quarterback that he has had. I think he had Pat Mahomes, if I remember correctly. He also had Kyler Murray. as well. And now you see what he's doing with Jayden Daniels, right? People were talking about Jayden Daniels early for MVP talk early into the season, but they still are talking about him and possibly offensive rookie of the year. He's, I think he's still in the conversation. So you got to give Cliff Kingsbury, a lot of credit on that. I think that would, be somebody that Bears fans would, be excited about. But I got one guy that could be under the radar, right? And Mo, you tell me what you think about this. How about Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore, right? Another offensive guy. He played the quarterback position at Boise State and he played for the Lions. I think he played for somebody else. I think he played for the Cowboys as well. But he played the quarterback position. Dallas had some success, in their offense with Kellen Moore there. And we all know the reason he's not there is not because he wasn't getting the job done. There's some other stuff that goes, with that. He went to Los Angeles for 1 year, obviously, with the changing head coaches. Then he comes over to Philadelphia, and they are having a pretty good, offensive output there. Now, Saquon Barkley helps with that, but he's worked with Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and now Jalen Hurts. Right. And these guys have had success. So I'm throwing Kellen Moore out there to say that could be a possibility. I don't know if he wants that or not. But as far as like the mindset of getting into the quarterback, because look, we already know they don't want a defensive minded coach. They had that with Eberflus and we saw what happened. They want someone that's offensively minded and going to be able to develop Caleb Williams. So Kellen Moore, what you think about that, Mo?
I like that pull. But I got a question, not necessarily about him, but I'm not sure if this job is attractive to, candidates with previous head coaching experience. But I mean, what makes it attractive to anybody, coordinator or whoever, aside from the Caleb Williams aspect? You got an opportunity to turn him into something, but what makes this job attractive?
So here's what I'm going to say. I'm glad that you asked that. And this is the great, crazy part. This wasn't even scripted. So Mo went right where I was going to go. You're right. Caleb Williams is going to be the biggest, seller on that. What you're going to be able to sell. And I'm acting as if I'm the Bears trying to, sell someone on coming to Chicago. You have a young talent in Rome Odunze. Right. In up and downs, but with a better offensive game, a better offensive game plan, that's going to heighten Rome. DJ Moore, already everybody know he real deal. You don't have to, it ain't nothing for him to prove. So Rome doesn't have to be the number one wide receiver. He can still develop, and you sell it as, check this out. And I'm not saying that he's this guy. I'm just talking about the maturation and how you hand it off. You sell it as Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. You sell it as Roddy White, Julio Jones, right? He's going to hand that baton off. But you're going to have that nucleus together for a good 3, probably 4 years of those wide receivers, right? Where I think they're going to have to struggle to sell somebody on is in the offensive line, because Caleb is running for his life out there. So people can think, but if your staff, if you can get the right people on your staff, you can change that. This is the biggest thing, I think, what I'm going to say about all three of those OCs right now. You do not have the same culture. You do not have the same players, and you do not have the same, structure that you have in these other places, in Detroit, in Philadelphia, in Washington. So for whoever comes in there, that is what the right person for the job is going to be able to create that culture, because we've seen what Dan Campbell has been able to do with culture. We've seen, even though Sirianni, people got their thought process, and who I'm talking about. But that structure of that franchise is built a certain way. I think Washington is doing that a little bit now with bringing in Dan Quinn and with this
Yep.
new ownership group, on it. So it's more of, do you have the right guy to come in there that's going to be able to bring that culture? Because I think the thought process and the game planning, I don't think that'll be a problem. It's more of who can set that culture in that organization best, right?
But
And whoever that is, I think can help the Bears.
I agree. But here's the problem that I see. One of the problems. It's a weird time. It's a weird time for a candidate to come in and take this job because you got pieces, right? You got your Caleb Williams. You got your pieces in there. You got potential.
And they got a good defense. They got guys on defense.
What you also have is you got a Detroit Lions team in that division that's probably going to end up in the Super Bowl, right? You got a Minnesota team that's, man, I mean, come on. You got Green Bay. I mean, you're going into a division that's going to be tough. And where you are now, as far as you got to go to just get to the point to be able to really legitimately compete with them, you're not even in that weight class right now. You're not in that weight class. And to bring in anybody, and what are your expectations? I guess that's what I'm getting at. What is that organization?
I didn't say they were going to come in and take over the division.
No, but you got your GM hat on right now, right? You got your GM hat on. You out here looking at candidates and you trying to sell them on this and that. Now you got to tell them what you expect from them. What do you expect? Who's going to be expected to come in and compete with those three teams in that division?
So here's what I
is that even
say.
Possible?
Here's what I say. If your staffing is up to par, on it, you got to have that. But Caleb Williams has the capability of. I mean, look, Sam Darnold. People gave up on Sam Darnold. Now people are saying, well, Sam Darnold ain't that bad. Well, look who his coach is, right?
He coming back to earth. Go ahead.
But I'm saying, in comparison to what he was in New York, it is night and day, with him, because it's not just, on him to win the game. Same thing, Jared Goff. It's not solely on Jared Goff to win games. It's not solely on Jordan Love to win games. And you've heard me say this before, Mo. I'm going to say it again. Is that there are literally probably 3 quarterbacks in the NFL where it's like, I'm going to put everything on your back, and I know you still going to figure out a way for us to win a game. That's it. Mm-hmm. Everybody else, you have to have the pieces around it. So it's more of getting those pieces that's going to allow Caleb and the rest of the offense and defense, what they do to be able to excel. So, I think they'll be able to compete in the NFC North. But you're absolutely right. It's gonna be a tough uphill battle. Now for Detroit, and I'm just gonna go to the side for a second, is that it's replacing if those guys leave, because the expectation is you're gonna lose your OC and DC. And we saw what happened in Philadelphia when both the OC and DC left. So you have to really have in place who's already going to take. I think Dan Campbell already does have that in place as far as who he wants to replace them. And so they can continue that. But that's that. But I'm saying that's that culture. That's that mindset that you have to have. So whoever comes into Chicago, that's what you're looking at. You got to have that, because if you don't, like to your point, it's going to be tough in the NFC North to win.
Yep. And my only question would be, if I'm a candidate, is how can I save my job? What constitutes a successful season? 3rd place in the division?
I think I think that's going to be set from every interview.
Yeah.
And if you're Chicago, you telling them you got to win the division. We got you the quarterback.
You got to say that.
You got to. You can't say, oh, well, we just want. Nah, it's you in the division. Our quarterback is just as good as any other quarterback that's in the NFC North. If I'm the Chicago Bears, I mean, that's what you're saying, because you're not running out there some quarterback that is just here for the year or 2 years and then they're going to move on. This is somebody that foreseeably see to be here 10 plus years. So that's going to be the mindset.
Yeah.
You
well,
come
I think
here,
you're spot on.
in the division.
You pulled out a name that I really wasn't thinking about. So yeah, that ain't a bad pull.
Yeah,
Ain't a bad pull.
I don't know if he
fired in
wants
2 years though.
Yeah.
He won't make it. They don't keep coaches or quarterbacks. That's Chicago.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is another episode in the books, man. So again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and do not forget about the Wait a Minute Show toy drive as well. Again, we're over $1,000. We're trying to get to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, trying to get as much as we can so we can get these kids something for the holiday. Got into December 14th. And if you have not noticed, we haven't said anything, but I am going to say it. Yeah, there's a little bit different aura going on, right? So a little bit different here. So we're changing it up, ending the year right. So everybody be good out there, man. Do what it is that you do. But until then, 2 things. Stay positive and push forward. And I'll holler at you later. Peace.